Hi everyone. The reason for this video is to show you how to train yourself for part 2 of the IELTS test. Okay, so we have a question here. Describe the neighborhood you lived in when you were a child. You should say where in your town, city the neighborhood was, what kind of people lived there, what it was like to live in the neighbourhood, and explain whether you'd like to live in this neighbourhood in the future. Okay, so let's just go to the next slide and we'll go through this step by step. Okay, if I can get it to move. Yep, I've got it now. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to try and paraphrase, okay, the actual question. So if we can go back, so instead of saying today, I'm going to talk about my neighbourhood, what you could say is something along the lines of when I was younger, I grew up in a suburb, district, neighbourhood, okay, or I grew up in a new estate and the people there were gregarious, okay, or most of the people were younger families. Okay, so that gives you just, you're paraphrasing already the actual question. So again, that's one of the criteria is to paraphrase in the actual exam itself. Okay, and then where in your town, city, the neighborhood was. So you could again go back to here. Okay, so my suburb at that time was located in the northern part of the city near blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you paraphrased, okay? Okay, so you've looked at, you can see all the paraphrasing I've done there. And again, this is what you should write down, paraphrase all the bits and pieces. Okay, now let's work on the adjective, okay? So describe the neighbourhood you lived in when you were a child. Okay, so again, I think I sort of did this in the beginning, but when I look back, when I was a spring chicken, it's an idiom you could use, I lived in a middle-class neighbourhood in the northern suburbs of Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, whatever, okay? Okay, let's go to the next part of the question. You should say, so where in the town? You've done that. What kind of people live there? Okay. So instead of using the word people and kind, you could say, for example, in my particular neighbourhood, there lived a lot of younger families. They were very similar to our family, where the parents worked and the kids went to school near my house. And again, there's other things adjectives you can use here, like, was it rural? Was it urban? Was it peaceful? Working class area, okay? And then you can use your phrasal verbs as well. In my particular suburb, most houses were new and they were looked after very well. Most houses, most units, most flats in my area were run down. Or our neighbourhood was revamped and it was done up. Okay, so therefore you've used a phrasal word, you use adjectives, you use paraphrasing. Okay, so let's go back to the question again. So what was it like to live there in this neighbourhood? Well, at the time when I was small and growing up, I thought my neighbourhood was the centre of the universe, an idiom, okay? I didn't have a care in the world, an idiom, okay? It says that it's a wonderful place to live, okay? In my neck of the woods, it was a wonderful place to live, okay? So that covers that sort of part. And again, this whole exercise is not to give you an answer, it's to give you ideas of how to answer, okay? and explain whether you'd like to live in this neighbourhood in the future. So again, you could use a mixed conditional. I really enjoyed the neighbourhood that I grew up in. If I had grown up somewhere else, I would have been head over heels with that neighbourhood too, I suppose. Okay. Or an adverbial. Only then. So I moved away after I got into university. Only then can you determine the attachment you had to the neighbourhood where I grew up. Okay, so it gives you a negative adverbial. Okay, so and again, you could obviously explain whether you would like. So I may wish to return back to the neighbourhood that I grew up in while I was a youngster. But given that I've had the opportunity to go to the city at the moment because of my career, I would prefer to stay in the city. If in the future, though, if I could obtain an adequate job related to my profession, then I may think about going back to this neighbourhood in the rural part of Vietnam, something like that. Okay, so again, try to work on paraphrasing, adjectives, phrasal verbs, idioms, conditionals, mixed conditionals, and negative adverbials. Okay, and that way you would definitely get a higher mark on your grammar part of your speaking test. Okay, hopefully this has helped. Thank you very much, and